I'm really excited about this class because people have been asking to have a special class about singles and relationships. And so I'm really devoting the class tonight. We've been talking about relationships in general. And tonight we're going to be talking about relationships when you're single. So we have talked about, we're on the fourth class, I think. We've talked about really real stuff. You know, we've talked about transference. We've talked about repetition compulsion. We talked about so many things. We did an exercise last week. That was just very, very interesting. So I think all of you are just like really becoming very psychologically connected and aware and mindful about yourselves and about relationships. So that's why I think we're ready for this class. In particular, I think we're ready for this class because before going into any relationship, the most important thing is to be comfortable with your relationship with yourself. If you're not in a relationship with yourself that works, you're not going to be able to be in a relationship with anybody else. So first priority is always a relationship with yourself. And if you can't like yourself, you're not going to be available to like anybody else. But if you know yourself and you like yourself, you can be a really good partner in a relationship. Those people make the best partners in relationships. People who know themselves and like themselves a lot. You know, you would think, oh, if a person likes themselves too much, they're not going to be good in a relationship. It's not true. If a person likes themselves, they will be really good in a relationship. So that's what our talk about is going to be tonight. It's about liking yourself, and it's called Happy to Be Me. How do we get to that point to be happy to be me, to be happy to be single? Now, I see that we have people here who are not single, who are married, but I still think even in that, we're going to address those kind of things as well. So I don't think you have to leave us. You could stay with us and probably even offer us advice about being single. One of the things I heard from somebody today that I thought was really interesting.
You muted yourself, Dr. Faye.
How long ago? How long ago?
2 seconds ago. You're fine. Okay. Go for it.
So today I got into a conversation with somebody who was married, and they clearly said, I wish I would have appreciated when I was single more. I wish that when I was single, all I thought about was, I wish I wasn't single. I wish I wasn't single. I wish I didn't have that on my mind, because if I would have appreciated being single at that time, I could have really enjoyed myself more. And you know, the grass is always greener on the other side. We know that in life. The grass is always greener. If you're single, you think, oh, I want to be married. I want to be with somebody. And if you're married, guess what? The grass is greener on the other side. You're thinking, wow, I wish I had those opportunities that single people have that we're going to talk about in a little bit. And isn't that really true? All right. So another thing I just want to mention is it's important to validate the feelings that you have as a single person during this time in COVID. Yes, we're going to validate that feeling. Yes, it is hard to be single during COVID time because the singleness is even more intensified than it is in regular times. You're really single. You're really very, very isolated. And there may be times that you're doing Friday night all by yourself. There may be times that you're at home at night and you're thinking, I am really alone. So I just want to take a moment to validate the feelings of that singleness and aloneness that you're feeling. So it's an important thing. So let's just take a moment to think about it. Yes, it is a single time. It is a difficult time. It is hard to be single right now. And I want you to feel that. So even though we're talking about happy to be me and be single, we are going to validate that it is difficult to be single at this time. Okay, now we're going to move into our conversation. So here's the story. It seems to be in the culture that we live in, what is the norm? The norm is to be part of a couple. That's the norm. It's not the norm to be alone. It's not the norm to be single. The norm is that if you're not in a relationship, you aspire to be in a relationship. You look for a relationship. You spend most of your time either on computer websites, Match, JMatch, this, saw you on Sinai. Everybody who's single, what are they really doing? They're looking for somebody to pair up with, somebody that they will no longer be single. So it's like the aspiration. I have to be unsingle. Being single is not the norm in our community. And I want to talk about that because I too am single, right? So I too know that I'm not the norm. Why aren't you getting married, Dr. Faye? Why aren't you looking for somebody to go out with? What's wrong with you? You're weird. You're strange. And that's strange, that doesn't feel good. I'll give you a real example. So let's say right now, I'm up in the country by myself. I love being up in the country. And I love being by myself up in the country. It gives me time to read. It gives me time to go for walks. It gives me time to think about what I want to do with my time, what opportunities I want to take. It gives me time to actually do this and feel like I'm really in the moment with all of you right now. I love this time that I'm here. Love. But yet, what happens? People say to me, so how are you managing? It must be really, really hard. And I'll say, well, middle of the week, I go up to the country. And then they say, you go up to the country? And I say, yeah, who do you go with? I don't go with anybody. So you're there by yourself up in the country? That is always the answer that I get. Now, every time that somebody says that to me, when it happened once, when it happened twice, when it happened 10 times, now it's up to like every single person. The first thing they say is, you're up in the country by yourself? What's wrong with you? That's the feeling I get. Now, there's nothing wrong with me. I enjoy being alone. I'm taking advantage of the opportunity. I have a choice. I could be alone in Brooklyn. Either way, I'm going to be alone because right now I don't want to subject myself to picking up the virus. So I'm going to be alone in Brooklyn or I'm going to be alone over here. What the part of people judging me, they're judging me. I'm being judged. And that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about that when you're single, very often you're being judged by people. And it's not a good feeling. It's a feeling of like that you want to say to people, I'm really okay. I'm not miserable. I'm very happy. I'm happy with my life. And I think that that's something that we have to take ownership of as single people. Now, you might say to yourself, but Dr. Faye, you're single, but you were married. You have a family. You have all of that. I'm single and I want to be married. I want to have a family. I want to have all of those things. I say to you, the time will come. You will be married. And when you are married, ask the married people. They're going to tell you. They're going to say, appreciate your time. Appreciate your alone time. Because once you're married, the things that you have when you're single, you're not going to have them when you're married. You're just not. And we're going to talk about those things. So that's one thing, that I want you to accept the fact that even though people might be judging you and thinking, oh, it must be awful to be single. You know what? It's not awful to be single. It's your time. It's your time to be single and enjoy it. You're not weird. I'm not weird. I am enjoying my time. I'm taking ownership of my alone time. And I wish that upon all of you as well. I'll say one more thing now. That's also another idea that I would like to discuss. So my grandchildren are saying to me, oh, Bobby, we really want a dog. We really want a puppy. Now we have time. I said, who's going to take care of the dog? Oh, we will. We're going to walk the dog in the morning. We're going to walk the dog at night. Bubby, we're going to take care of the dog. Now, we're a family. We've actually always had dogs. We've always had dogs. When my husband Shlomo got sick, at that point, we had to give away our dog, and we gave it away to a nursing home to elderly people. And since then, I have not gotten a dog again. So the children have an idea that, Bubby, let's get a dog. So, my grandchildren, I love them. So of course, I picked up the phone. I called up different places where we usually got our dogs from. I even called shelters. I called Puppy Paradise. I called breeder. I called a lot of people for it. So guess what? You're not going to believe this. There's not a dog to be had. All places have waiting lines for dogs. So I think to myself, that's really interesting. Suddenly there's a shortage of dogs. There aren't enough dogs. Everybody's out there buying dogs. Everyone's out buying dogs. Everybody thought about the idea and they got ahead of me and they all bought dogs. So I think to myself, why are people buying dogs, right? They want to take care of a dog, right? That's what you do. Once you have a dog, it's like having a little baby. There's so much to do. You have to wait for the dog to get trained. You have to walk the dog in the morning, sometimes in the night. Our dog had teeth problems. We had to do orthodontia work on our dog. Dogs are a responsibility. You have to take care of the dog. So I think to myself, isn't that interesting that people want to take care of dogs? Now, then I ask myself, are people taking care of themselves? Are they ready to take care of a dog because they're taking such great care of themselves that their time is like empty enough that they need to take care of a dog? It's a real question. So I want to talk about taking care of yourself, self-care. So here's my question. In self-care, you're single. Yeah, you could really never put on makeup, never take a shower. Nobody will ever know. You're in the house, you're on Zoom. Nobody knows how bad you smell. Nobody knows if you took a shower. You could just pull on a shirt and look okay through Zoom. But my question is, when you take care of yourself, are you taking care of yourself? Are you taking care of yourself for yourself, or are you taking care of yourself for other people? In other words, when you're in the non-COVID time, right? During non-COVID time, when you're going out, right? You put on makeup, guys, you take a shower, you put on deodorant, you shave, you look good, right? Because you're going out, you're gonna go see people. Well, I say to myself, are you taking care of yourself for yourself? Aren't you valuable enough to take care of yourself for yourself? When you look in the mirror, don't you want to look at yourself looking really good? Because do you not care about yourself? So I thought that I would bring that topic up as a passing thought in terms of being single, that it's part of self-respect. Part of self-respect is getting dressed and looking good, not only for other people, but getting dressed and looking good for yourself. And I think that that's a very, very, very important idea. So yeah, I think it's interesting, the idea that all the dogs are all sold out because people want to take care of dogs. But I think more important than taking care of a dog is taking care of yourself, your appearance, your cleanliness, your hygiene. Okay, now we're going to move into the topic of singleness. Let's talk about it. The benefits of being single. I want to talk about those benefits. Everybody ready? And I'm going to name them. And as I go along, I want you to think about them. One of the benefits of being single is that you can do anything you want to do. You don't have to ask anybody. You don't have to answer to anybody. If you want to go out for a walk, you can go out for a walk. If you want to go to sleep early, you can go to sleep early. If you want to sleep late, you can sleep late. If you decide that you want to devote your entire day to just reading that day and not talking to anybody, you can do that because you can do anything you want to do. Second thing, and then we'll come back to them because you're going to get involved. We'll do an interactive section part. Another part, when you're single, it's very exciting to be single because you never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to talk to. Every option is open to you. Every opportunity is open to you. Whatever you want to do, you can do. Every opportunity is open. So being single is very exciting. Being married is wonderful also, but being married it's contentment. I'm married. I have a person that's with me. We can watch a movie together. We can do things together. It's a sense of contentment. But that feeling of excitement, That's when you're single. You also get to meet a lot of people when you're single. You have a lot more opportunities to socialize. You can have better relationships with friends, which you don't have an opportunity as much for when you're married. When you're married, you're busy with your partner a lot. Most of your time is really spent with your partner, fulfilling your partner's needs, talking to them, giving them time, giving them of course, that's going to be our session when we do marriage and relationships, because that's what you have to do when you're married, or when you have a significant other. That's what you do. You want to encourage the relationship. But when you're single, you're meeting people. You also have, it's a very good opportunity for the relationship with family, that very often when you're married, you don't have that kind of opportunity because you're busy. You don't have that much time to call your mother, to call your father, to call your sisters or your brothers. You might want to have a conversation with your brothers or have a great relationship with your brothers. But it's hard, it's easier to do when you're single. You can pick up the phone and have a long schmooze with a brother that you haven't spoken to in a very long time. So that's another benefit. Another very interesting benefit of being single is, get ready for this. It's funny, Alex, I'm looking at you the whole time. Okay, another benefit, but you're nodding at me. Another benefit of being single is, guess what? What can you do when you're single that you cannot do when you're married? You can flirt. Flirting is a lot of fun. Now, flirting does not mean that you're doing anything wrong. You're just flirting. Flirting is great. But when you're married, you can't really flirt. When you're single, you can flirt. And there's so much opportunity that you learn from flirting, because when you flirt with somebody, you learn about yourself. You learn about what you're saying. And it's such an opportunity for learning about yourself. For a moment, I want to step into the second thing that comes with flirting, that when you're single, you have a lot of opportunities for learning about how to handle rejection. When you're single, there are going to be times that you flirt and you're going to be rejected. But what an opportunity. You have an opportunity to learn how you deal with rejection. Is rejection a bad thing? No, it's a learning experience. Just because somebody doesn't like me does not mean I'm a bad person. They just don't like me, whatever the reason, I might be blonde and they want a brunette. Or I might be very energetic and they may want somebody very non-energetic. I might be very intellectual and they may want somebody very not intellectual. So learning about yourself through rejection is a fantastic learning opportunity. So yeah, you can flirt when you're single, but you're also going to have to deal with rejection, which is a very nice thing. When you're married, you're not flirting, and hopefully you're not dealing with that much rejection, but you've learned about rejection. So it teaches you about relationships. Another thing that I think is nice about being single, that I'm sure everybody relates to, is you only have to deal with your own finances. You don't have to worry about somebody else's finances. If you want to go and buy yourself something, well, you're going to make that decision. Can I, how much does it mean to me? How much do I really want that? You don't have to go over to anybody else and say, well, I was thinking that I really want to buy myself a new yoga mat. And it sounds ridiculously mundane, but it might cost some money. And I don't have to ask anybody about buying a yoga mat. I'll just buy a yoga mat. Whereas when I'm married, the finances are a shared responsibility. All right, so I've named a lot of things. Another thing about being single is that you have the opportunity for spontaneity. You can do anything that you want to do, just like that. I decided at 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon that I want to drive up to the country. I got into my car, I started driving, I forgot my clothes at home, but that was part of being spontaneous. I just got into the car and I did it. And yes, when you're married, together you can be spontaneous, but it's still a conversation. When it's by yourself, it's not much of a conversation. It's just you get in the car and you start driving. So that's another. Again, remember, the object of today's class is happy to be me. So as I go through this list of reasons that it's nice to be single, these are all reasons that I am happy to be me. Not me, I'm talking about a single person. Let me think. I have one more. I also believe in, I like this a lot. I like going on dates with myself. Sounds weird, but I do like dating myself, which means what? Which means that I'm going to tell myself that next week on Tuesday night, I want to do something. I'm in the mood of watching a certain movie that I really want to see, and I'm making a date with myself. And what better thing is it than me making the date with myself, organizing the date? I know exactly what I want to do. So it's not like I can be upset at anybody. I know that this is what I want to be doing. So I love the idea of creating dates for myself. All right, I'm going to close with one last story that I think is really, really very important. It's about ownership, taking ownership of being by yourself. And this story, I've told it, I think I've told it a couple of times to some of the people that I'm close with. When Shlomo was first nifter, when my husband was first nifter, that first Shavuos, I spent Shavuos, I was invited to a Shavuos program in Israel, in Herzliya. I was invited to speak at the Shavuos program. And it was a wonderful Shavuos program. I had a great time. And in the afternoon, the last afternoon of Shavuos, I had the opportunity, I was by myself, and we went for a walk on the beach in Herzliya, which is just a beautiful beach. For those of you who have been there or haven't been there, it's my favorite beach. I was in Herzliya, and I took a walk on the beach, and it was a very, very, very hot day. And most of the people in Herzliya were not keeping that day of Yom Tov. I don't know whether it was because maybe it was a 2-day Yom Tov. We keep 2 days of Shavuos, they keep one. And they were all on the beach, and they were having their sodas and drinks and whatever. And it was a very, very hot day. And I was thinking, wow, I really want to buy myself a Diet Coke. And I thought, I could buy myself a Diet Coke. I'll just go to my room. I'll get my credit card, and I'll give the credit card to the guy. It's not really money, I was thinking. It's, it's just a credit card. And, he'll swipe the card. And I'm allowed to carry in Israel. And, I thought, okay, I was rationalizing to myself that I could do this. So I'm taking my walk in Haifa, in the Herzliya. I go to my hotel room, and I'm about to think about getting my credit card from the hotel room. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I don't want to do this. It used to be that if I would come up with a thought like that, I would have Shlomo there right away saying, credit card, Shavuos, Diet Coke, are you serious? That's we're not doing that. We're not doing that. It wouldn't be a thought. But I said to myself, you know what? Now it's my responsibility. I get the credit. I get the opportunity to do this mitzvah. This mitzvah, I am going to get the credit for. And when I'm up there in Shemayim, when I'm coming up there at the end of days, and I'm going to stand in front of God, I am going to be able to say, I did not get that Diet Coke. I did not go and take my credit card. I kept Shavuos, Hashem. I kept it, and Shlomo wasn't there. I kept it because I wanted to be respectful of the laws that you give us, God. I wanted to show you my connection to you. I wanted to show you that we have a relationship, Hashem, and I'm not going to do this. And I felt so happy about it. I felt so happy to have ownership of my own mitzvahs. And I think that that's something very important to recognize as a single person, that it's an opportunity to have ownership, to take pride in the things that you do. Whatever you're doing them because you're making a decision to do them. And it's such a beautiful opportunity. And it's not an opportunity that you're going to have after you get married. Because after you get married, it's a shared responsibility. Everything is a discussion. It's a wonderful thing, but you're going to miss that opportunity of getting that credit, of being able to own the actions that you do. You're owning everything right now. And I think that that's a very, very, very big reason to be happy to be me. All right, so now I thought I would open up. Before I open up to questions and answers, though, here's a thought that I thought I would present. It's a question that I created. And the question is, one thing that you can think of as a single person that you can take advantage of by being single. I've named a bunch of them, but now I'm going to give you the opportunity to think about one thing that you can take advantage of because you are a single person. Now, how does that sound? Rabbi, I don't know if you want to turn this off because it might be personal already.
Well, it's up to you or up to the participants.
Okay.
Anytime you want to stop, we can stop. But at the same time, any word that we still can record coming from you of a great value.
Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to all of you right now. I do think it's a nice thing to have on a recording of something that you can take advantage of because you are a single person. Anybody?
Freedom.
Do you want to tell us more? You want to give an example?
That you're free to do whatever you want to do, whenever you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you experienced that lately?
With the quarantine, no.
Not at all?
With the quarantine, no.
Mm-hmm.
Social distancing.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I have something.
Please.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Hi.
I think something that we get to do when we're single is kind of self-development and to be able to better ourselves and grow into the people we want to be, which we may not have as much opportunity to do when we're married and we have to focus on somebody else and children, but we get to really kind of work on ourselves and different character traits or midos or things that we want to refine about ourselves with a different type of focus, maybe.
Yeah. So it's a growth opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think so.
Do you want to give an example?
Sure. I think for me personally, being single, lately I've been trying every day now with the pandemic, but definitely like once a week, I always learn once a week. Like I have a study partner that I'm always like learning with once a week. And then I try to do like daily self-growth, and there are different trainings and podcasts and SoundClouds, not even necessarily only Jewish, about, achieving goals and accomplishing things and, just different things like that, motivation. And I really get to spend a lot of time like listening to things like that and working on my goals and gratitude lists and different things like that, which I don't think I would have as much time for if I was busy with other things.
Yeah, that's a great example. Anybody else?
Maybe I can add just and say that sometimes when you're focusing on others, you are actually working on yourself. It's a different way of working on yourself. Forgetting about yourself, but actually becoming more of a giver. But you need time for yourself as well, of course.
Can you give an example of that, Rabbi?
Well, when you're taking care of one of the family members and you totally give, your time and energy, you think you're focusing on that person, but you're becoming a more dedicated father or more dedicated son or daughter.
Interesting, right? Yeah. Anybody want to add on?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Do you want me to stop?
No, it's okay. This
Okay.
is. I just wanted to go off of your point, Rabbi. I think it's especially important now to be a giver. And it reminds me what you said. Reminds me of something I learned actually quite recently. There's a book by Rabbi Dessler, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
and he has a book called Striving for Truth, which
Correct.
is a phenomenal book. And
Yes.
in the book, one of the seminal messages is, excuse my dog, one of the big messages is being a giver rather than a taker. That in life we have givers and takers, and and that's not to be mistaken with a receiver. There's givers, receivers, and takers.
You made me join something that.
And I feel like right now more, something I have to work on. I think everybody needs to work on, no matter what kind of righteous individual you are, is to be more of a giver. And so yeah, that's just my. I would like to be more innovative with my, in terms of how I give, especially in this social distancing kind of era. And you brought up an example, like to help your family members and such, but it would be nice if we could, maybe at some other time brainstorm how we could actually be more givers right now. So anyway.
Yeah. In terms of answering that question about being a giver, it's really about grabbing opportunities. That's all it's about. Giving is really about opportunities that come your way, and is that your dog? It's so cute. Can we see your dog, Mark?
Oh, that wasn't my dog. I think that was something else. But you can see I can show you my dog later. I'll try to find him.
So what I wanted to say is that the part that you're asking, this question about giving, it's really about grabbing opportunities. Any opportunity that comes your way, just grab it. And that's how you become a giver. That's really how it happens. It happens with one thing, then it happens with another. I'll give you a perfect example. So I'm up here in the country, and somebody must have just had a baby up here in the country. He's a guy from Israel. It's a young kid, and he's up here with his wife by himself. They just had a baby, and the bris is this Friday. And I heard that he had the baby, so I called to say, Mazel Tov, I know you're up here. What's your plan for your bris? Now, I really didn't need to call him. I don't know him very well, but the opportunity was there. I heard he had a baby, so I figured, let me get his number. Well, it turns out that he doesn't have the mile for the bris yet. And I figured, you know what? I know Rabbi Fisher. Rabbi Fisher is right here in Muncie. So I said to him, do you have a mile? He said, no, we don't have a mile. I said, I'll get you a mile. Now look at that. I'm so excited now because I have the opportunity to give him somebody for his baby to do the bris. And so it's really just a matter of becoming a giver is really just a matter of just grabbing opportunities. That's all.
Sorry. What's a mural? What did you say? What is that?
Yeah, so the person who does the bris, the rabbi who does the bris, he's called a mohel. That's what a mohel, M-O-H-E-L.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a specific, how everybody has specifics, doctors have specific expertise in different areas. This rabbi his expertise is in doing circumcisions.
Oh,
so
wow.
Dr. Faye, so in other words, to summarize, it's don't overthink opportunities. If you see an opportunity, do it and take it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. If you see an opportunity, grab it. The second, grab it before somebody else does.
Right.
I actually learned that from my husband. I have to give Shlomo all the credit for that because I think he jumped on opportunities before the person even finished thinking about what they needed. He knew what they needed and was just so quick at it. I'm very proud because my grandson, I don't know if he's on, Ari Clever, I think he mentioned he was coming on, but so he because he wants to be just like my husband, he went and got certified and licensed as an emergency mental technician, an EMT. And the second that the licensing came in, he right away started working. He couldn't get a salary job right away because of some paperwork that needed to be done, but he's already working on ambulances as a volunteer EMT. So it's just about grabbing opportunities. Yeah.
Love it.
Hi, Rabbi Kitsin. Hi, Dr. Faye. This is Ari. So, just going off on the question that you mentioned before, as far as what's one of the benefits of being single? To me, this is something that I think about is that, a lot of times people they want to get closer to religion. They want to be more religious. And I think that when you're single, you can really try to like find yourself. You could like, you know, learn more about Judaism, go to more classes, and try to figure out, hey, is this something that I want to do, you know, with a partner? Is this the kind of life that I want for my children? And I feel like if you're, once you get married, and then if you try to do that, it can be a lot more difficult because you might fall into the other person's pressure, the lifestyle that they're living in, and you just might live the life that they're living in, not the one that while you were single you could have like figured yourself out. So I think it's important to figure that out while you're single before you get into something, and like I wouldn't say drag somebody down, but I feel like in a way you can, because if you didn't you know, if you didn't do your like if you didn't try to like think it through before you got married, then and then, you know, you decide, like you take somebody for example that's, you know, not religious, and then you know, you decide you want to be religious. I don't know if it's so fair. I think it's something that you should take advantage of while you're single, because that's the beauty of being single. So to me,
Yeah.
that's something.
Great answer. Rabbi, what's your feeling about that?
I think that a person
Your
who,
spiritual growth while you're single.
I think that a person who's not comfortable with himself, not happy with himself, he will find a very difficult time in marriage. And the way marriage has to be not to escape yourself, but rather to share your joy of being yourself. Because then you can share the joy and another person will be happy with you. Because if you're not happy with yourself, another person will not be happy with you either. And search for your second half begins really from the search for your first half. So it really complements each other.
Yeah. I really want to echo that idea, that how important it is that while you're single to really do that kind of growing as much as you can, and to really learn to love yourself. Because if you learn to love yourself, you can learn to love another person. And you know what else? You become so much less needy when you love yourself. When you love yourself, you're not going into a marriage thinking, oh, I need that person to take care of me. Because I think that that's one of the big mistakes about when people think that they're getting married. They feel like they're getting married to fill a void, to fill a gap in their lives. And that's not what marriage is supposed to be. It's not about filling a gap in your life. It's about coming in as a whole person and the other person coming in as a whole person. And it's about creating a new whole person. And I think that that's really important. I think the only way to get to that point is by feeling like you are a full person, like you are a whole person.
Dr. Faye, if I may add maybe something controversial. My Rebbe in Israel, he said, or used to say, the world is a mirror. And if you want to see virtues in yourself, you need to teach yourself to focus on virtues and qualities and hidden light in another person or other people. And the more you love other people, the more will actually you love yourself and Hashem. So loving other people, seeing good in other people is actually the key in seeing good in yourself. Is that true?
Yeah.
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 So thanks for always seeing the good in us, Dr. Faye and Rabbi Kitson. Thank you.
It's very easy to see the good in somebody when they feel good about themselves. It's so easy. Like when you feel that spark in somebody and they kind of have that smile on their face, and they're throwing something at, you know, they're kind of throwing you a ball, you know? So it's very easy to grab the ball and say, wow, you know, look at that smile. You lit my life up. I want to light your life up in return. That's like that's the famous story of Rebbetzin Youngreis. Rebbetzin Youngreis was a very, very, very famous Rebbetzin who everybody loved so much. And she always smiled, always. And somebody once said to her, Rebbetzin Young Rice, when you wake up in the morning, do you paste that smile on your face? Is that a real smile?
I was going to ask you the same thing because you're always smiling too.
Because I'm looking at your smile. And I look at your smile. I'll tell you the answer that she gave people, and it's really true. I look at your smile. It lights up my heart. And because you light up my heart, I'm smiling back at you. So
Dr. Faye, but let me ask you, with always like people that are always smiling, I mean, I think it's a beautiful thing. Me personally, I try to smile a lot. And when you see other people smile, it's beautiful. But let me ask you, like, sometimes when you see someone always smiling, you never know like where they stand. I heard like a nice story that a rabbi, he was a rabbi who teaches a class, and he asked like his students, like, how are you doing? And every morning his students would tell him like, Baruch Hashem, thank God. And then one time he said to the student, okay, that's very nice, but how are you really feeling? So sometimes people are always smiling, but you'll never know what's really going on because you can't like, so maybe it's that if a person's always smiling, maybe it's a good thing, but at the same time, maybe it's not so good because you never know like what's going on. Are they happy? Are they, because they're not showing any emotions?
I hear what you're saying. I have a hard time smiling if my heart is not smiling. I don't know that a smile really comes so easily to people. It's a very, very valuable thing. My smile, it's there when I'm happy. When I'm sad, my smile is not there. I don't know how many people can really smile if it's not coming from their heart. So I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, if you've met somebody that can smile and fake it, wow. At least
kind of smile.
there's a person that once said, keep in mind that your face is not your domain. Your face belongs to other people, because that's what's out there. That's what other people are looking at. So if this person has the power to smile in public domain and be able to make other people smile, even though he's not feeling or she's not feeling that smile, she's still doing something nice. She's still making other people smile. So it's kind of, I can't do it. I can only smile when I smile. But it is kind of a gift. I think that's the flip side of it, Ari.
Okay.
I love hearing the way you think, though, Ari. I love the way your mind works. I love it. Thank you.
Dr. P, just wanted maybe to bring an example. I remember, yes, one rabbi, I told him, can you please tell me, what do you think is like the most important quality of Chabad? Believe it or not, Dr. Faye, remember we went on Chabad Shabbaton. And he said, it's simcha, it's joy. And I'll tell you, my father-in-law lost his mother. And it was just before Simchas Torah. And as usual, he went to other shul to inspire and be mesameach, to share his joy with other people. And he was dancing like nothing happened, even though he was devastated inside.
Wow. Yeah, that's the power of being able to regulate your emotions as well. Didn't we just read about that last week in the parsha with Aaron, that his two sons died? And it says about Aaron, you imagine he lost his two sons, and you would think that he would scream out to God, God, why would you do this to me? I'm your person. Why would you allow my two sons to be killed and to die? But yet it says, no, he kept quiet. He accepted it. So that's a real power. I don't know that I don't have that. My smile, Ari, it's because I look at you, even though I don't see your face right now. I see other faces that are smiling at me.
Isn't it like the same idea with Abraham when he tied up Yitzhak and was ready to sacrifice him? He didn't ask either. He just did it. Like the same.
That's the power of our amazing youth tzaddikim, that, you know, our righteous people, that they have this incredible connection to Hashem, and they don't ask why. They just accept it. Even in this time of COVID, you know, a lot of us are walking around saying, why do we have to go through this? This is so horrible. I hate this. I'm scared. I'm terrified. You know, people are locked up in there. There are people who haven't left their house in 7 weeks because they're so terrified. And then there are other people, you know, that they understand. They're saying this is something from God. They try to make meaning out of it. And there are a lot of people that are really making incredible meaning out of these weeks that we're going through. The amount of good deeds and chesed that is going on right now, I've heard chesed throughout my life, but the amount that I'm hearing now of people feeding each other food, giving each other money, giving each other shelter. Yesterday, I was driving by Coney Island Avenue, and there was a line going. I couldn't imagine what the line was. There was a line from Coney Island Avenue all the way around till Ocean Parkway by Avenue K. It was masbia, because they're giving out food, and the line, there was that amount of people that were picking up food for the week. And it's just, it's an amazing community. So this time gives people an opportunity to do chesed that is just unbelievable. Yeah, anybody else want to share?
Yeah, I just want to say that I think that's very interesting what you just said, as far as, a lot of people, all you hear about, about everything is closed and about all the things that we're losing out and we can't do this and we can't do that. But if you look at the other side, the amount of things that you can do, like helping somebody, calling people in your neighborhood, calling people in your contacts, asking them, if they need something, from the store, knocking on your neighbor's door. There's opportunities that maybe you would never get if this whole thing wouldn't happen. So yeah, I appreciate that thought, something to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to add on, it's like, I think this is why it happened, is because a lot of people would say, oh, I don't have the time, or when is the weekend gonna end? But now it's like you have so much time, and this is like, I think, your chance to grow spiritually, mentally, like job-wise, in any area aspect, anything you think that you didn't have time to do, well, now's your chance, It's like, do it while you can, because the opportunity is here.
Yeah, I think also as Jews, we're very, very lucky because, we have the Torah, we have the guidelines, we have the opportunities, and the opportunities are there for us to be doing these mitzvot. It's not like we're just thinking about, okay, let me get out and let me do, whatever it is that people who aren't Jewish are doing. We have the opportunity as Jews to do mitzvot, and I think that's the way our minds work. Who can I visit in terms of a telephone call? Who can I call? It's just who we are. I think we're I think we're a very, very, very special group of people. So do you want to get back to the topic of being single, and what is a strength or a weakness that you feel that you have?
As a single person?
You could do that.
Well, I think as a single person, you have time and energy to kind of think about the skills that you want to develop and bring that into the relationships you want to form. Like some people, they're always in a rush and they don't know how to cook. So during this time, a lot of people have decided, hey, I got to eat. I'm not going to keep ordering out. So they look up recipes. They entertain themselves by cooking, and they're like, wow, I never knew how to do this. This is actually kind of fun. And it's kind of fun when you do it with somebody else. It's a bonding experience. So little things like that, I think makes you a better person, makes you a well-rounded person, makes you kind of your character change a little bit. So
that's actually a great example. That was one of the ones I didn't mention, but I was going to, that it gives the single time, or being single gives you an opportunity. It's exactly what you said, Irina, really good. It gives you an opportunity to become good at something, to become an expert at something. So if you decide that you want to start cooking, like what you just said, it gives you you have the opportunity at this time to start cooking. If you decide you want to start doing art, if you decide you want to start writing, it's an opportunity to be doing that. So I think that part of being single gives you an opportunity to become good at something that you would not have time to get good at. Yeah. I know I've taken this time I decided that I really want to, at one point I was very busy with yoga. I was a yoga instructor, but I've left that years and years ago. But I've taken this time to go back to doing yoga again. And it's really good. I'm having the opportunity to become really good at something because I have the time to be doing it. So what about the rest of you single people? How are you feeling? Are you really happy? Are you happy to be you? Are you enjoying your singleness? Or from our married people? Alex, what's your opinion? You look like you're ready to say something.
Sure. I am currently absolutely enjoying my singleness. My wife with the baby, they are in Staten Island, probably on their way back. But yeah, thank God they will be back, and I really do, appreciate the fact that I do have someone. And to your earlier point, like 10 years ago, before I met my wife, I could never imagine meeting someone that was also, dating, seeing if there's a person that I felt was the right person for me, and at a point where pretty much I really felt like there wasn't anyone, or I couldn't find someone who I was looking for. I was absolutely shocked. I came to Papa's dinner, and I met my wife, and we've been together for almost 10 years. So it just just kind of like to say, you never know. At least at the moment where you least expect it, that's when it's going to happen. And you're going to meet someone, and they'll catch you by surprise, and God willing, it'll happen soon. And just never give up hope. Like, there's one thing that Hashem makes sure is that every single person has another half in this world that's theirs. So it's just a matter of meeting them.
Yeah. Somebody has their phone on unmute. You want to mute yourself? Okay, I think it's gone. Yeah. What about the idea of having a time to, as a single person, you have the opportunity to reconnect with your dream of where you wanted to go. Like, in other words, when you were 14, 12, 14, 15, you had an idea, like, that's the person I want to be. We all have a vision. That's what I want to grow up to be. We all have that when we're little kids. I remember who I wanted to grow up to be. So in this time, you have time to reconnect with your dream, with your vision. Because usually we're just so busy that we don't have time to think, to be dreaming and envisioning our future. And at this time, you do have that. You have that time. So how is that? And are people using their time for the point of, for the point of growing? Are you using your time that way?
Hi, Dr. Faye. To play devil's advocate a little bit, I just want to say, I think a lot of people are using that and utilizing those things, but I think on the contrary, a lot of people are maybe not really motivated, or not not really using the time to maybe do something different, because there's no like motivation coming in. They're they're so I look at it just like the same people that, for example, that don't work on the weekends. There's some people that sleep throughout the whole day, and there's some people, that they go out and they go on trips and they do things. So I think, like, how do you just motivate for yourself, or maybe not sitting on the couch, watch TV all day, watch people like hear Netflix all day from different people. So how do you just like motivate yourself to be like, what, let me find a new hobby, like you mentioned, somebody mentioned cooking, or to do things? How do you really utilize this time and motivate yourself?
Yeah, it's a really, really good question. So in my head, I'm thinking, well, maybe at the beginning, 7 weeks ago, when this was 7 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, when this all started, maybe people were thinking, okay, let me watch Netflix, and they were binging on all of that. I think that at this point in time, I just can't even imagine that anybody would still be sitting in front of their iPad or phone just endlessly and meaninglessly. It's something I can't even imagine. So I would say, because it's just not my personality, so I don't relate to that. For me, it's about, so here's the answer to your question. For me, it's about when I go to sleep at night, I already prepare myself of what my goal is going to be for the next day. What am I going to accomplish the next day? Because if I'm going to go to sleep the next day, that night, and not have accomplished something, and not have taught a class, connected with an elderly person, connected with a new mother. There are so many new mothers out there who have just had babies. And they're really they're alone. They're postpartum. There are so many people out there. If I would have to go to sleep and not be able to reflect at night and feel like I accomplished something, I would get very depressed. What drives me is needing to know that I accomplished something. So does that speak at all to what you're asking?
Yes, somewhat, but I'll tell you, like, I use Facebooks and I see like these Netflix groups are some of the most popular groups because I'm invited to them, and I see, how much like people talk about this. And, I'll tell you, for me, something that I do that keeps me, like, every morning, I wake up like early in the morning. Every day, I decided to feel normal, to wake up every single morning, 8 o'clock, and not to just like, but then after that, of course, it's still, it's still hard, and there's different, try to find like different tools, but that's just my thing. I think this personally, I think, I keep hearing how, this is a time for people to connect to, to Judaism, and this is a time that a lot of people are connecting. But I also feel that this is also a time where it could also be a very difficult time because you don't have those same people that were motivating you. You don't have them like really in their life. Of course, you have them like on Zoom and, different social media platforms, but not having their actual presence, I believe takes a toll on the motivation of an individual.
So
Of me, I would say it's for somewhat part.
So we have something in common. I also do that. I wake up very early. So I wake up very early and I zoom out when I'm in Brooklyn. I zoom out immediately to Marine Park and I do my run or my walk in Marine Park right away. And there are a lot of other people, and it's not, in the morning it's pretty empty, but there are obviously I'm not alone, and you're not alone in wanting to get up early, because there are a lot of people out there that also want to have a feeling of meaning in their lives and wake up early in the morning.
Yes.
I've also found that I'm praying more because I have the time to do it. So I find that I have more time to pray, and I've been enjoying that. I think I would like to say that it's, self-motivation is the only thing that's going to get a person out there to do something. It's, it's got to be self-drive, where you say to yourself, I'm going to do this. What made everybody get on the phone? Something made them get on the telephone. They're not getting paid to get on. They felt driven to get on the phone, to connect in some sort of way. So that same spark of that drive can take a person to drive them to do something more than just coming on to a Zoom.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it makes it makes sense for the most part. Maybe Rabbi Katzin,
Yeah.
Rabbi Katzin, can I ask you? Maybe you could just like elaborate a little bit. Oh, is he?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay,
Yes,
so maybe you could just maybe elaborate or maybe give some tool of how, we keep hearing about the part that, we have all this time to, to learn, and people are doing more learning than before and all this, but maybe you could give some kind of tool for the people that maybe they were not as motivated. I look at a lot of people, a lot of people, their connection to Judaism, for example, was going to shul on Shabbat and having the good times. They know Judaism through the good times, to going to the Friday night meals, to go when people are having the good time. So now that that's not happening no more, now that they're not connected to that, and they never really, they don't have too much of the experience, or they never felt too much connected to the actual, sitting down a book and reading. How do those people feel? Is there any tools for those people that they should continue their growth that they or the path that they've been on, and something that maybe they could concentrate on or learn while this is going on?
Ari, I first of all appreciate very much your question, but I believe that this very meeting that we have resembles our experiences at Dr. Faye's table. Those of us who
well, it's
we are reliving it in some ways and experiencing it again. So, and I'm sure that everybody has their own unique ways of growth and connecting to themselves or to spirituality. And of course, we would have more time. I would just open and ask, how do you do it now, without a class, without a gathering in Dr. Faye's, table or other things. But at the same time, Dr. Faye, I just want to maybe move this conversation. That doesn't mean we need to stop, but I think we had the best session ever, actually, the best class. I don't know from your, dear participants' perspective, but I think it was like the deepest in the soul connection of all of us as a group. And I was just wondering where we as a group want to go from here. And do you have, Dr. Faye, an idea of a next class topic? And do you want to hear the input of people that they say, that is what I'm experiencing and this is where I need to go?
I love that idea. Yes, Rabbi, I would love to hear that.
So summarize, we spoke about what does it mean to be single? What are the challenges? What are the advantages? How can you be happy with yourself being single? How can you actually celebrate it, right? Accept yourself as a single and how you overcome that. So you as a group or every individual, so where you want to go from here? What do you think next topic should be? Please.
Rabbi, oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Please, the opposite, please.
Rabbi, may I ask you to unrecord, press the take off?
with great pleasure. On that note, we stop recording, and now the real meeting begins.